Good morning, everyone. Bruno Rodriguez, incident meteorologist, joined today by our interpreter, Tara. So the winds definitely arrived as expected yesterday. It was a very windy day. We were getting sandblasted here at the ICP in Las Vegas. We saw gusts for the most part over the fire in the 40 to 50 mile an hour range. There were a couple of outliers, one of those predictably being Elk Mountain up at 11,500 feet. The other outlier was actually down here in Las Vegas. The helibase out at the Las Vegas airport reported a gust of 60 miles an hour yesterday, which, to my knowledge, was the strongest gust in the state of New Mexico yesterday. So, reason being, southwest winds really like to channel through that I-25 corridor between the high terrain. That wind kind of funnels through and accelerates as it does so, kind of like the rapids in a river, which are often located in those narrower sections. Similar idea, so that's why Las Vegas was so gusty yesterday. But again, most of the fire picked up gusts in that 40 to 50 mile an hour range. A little bit lighter in some of the sheltered areas, especially the Pecos Valley, quite deep drainages there. So for the most part, 30, 35 mile an hour gusts is really what we saw out there yesterday. As for last night, it was very dry as well. I think we have a relative humidity graphic from last night up. There we go. So it was actually the driest night that we've seen, at least while I've been here, which is like a week and a half. So a lot of the locations within the fire footprint, this would include kind of this Pecos station on the south end, station up near Chacon, and then this one here, 15% maximum humidity last night, and that would be up near Upper Rociada. So very dry conditions, a little bit more moist up at the higher elevations. So that indicates right there that we didn't really have an inversion, because if we did have an inversion, that layer of more stable air, we would likely see much better recoveries in the lower elevations in the valleys below that inversion, and then drier conditions up high. So signature of a lack of an inversion, which is pretty typical when we're this windy, and we're going to see similar conditions again tonight. So as for today, we're looking at really a repeat of yesterday. If anything, winds may be a touch stronger, but overall very similar, looking at gusts for the most part 40 to 45 miles an hour for most areas, with sustained speeds in the 20 to 25 mile an hour range. Could be a little bit higher. Again, those upper elevations, Elk Mountain, could see gusts of 55 miles an hour today. Low humidity coming down to about low teens, maybe some single digits for the lower elevations. So again, with that, we have our second red flag day in a row. Critical fire weather conditions going to be very widespread. Winds are already gusting around 40 to 50 miles an hour for a lot of the fire footprint. They should intensify a little bit as we head into the afternoon hours as well. Maybe a little bit more widespread compared to yesterday. Tonight looks like a lot of those winds will be able to persist during the overnight period. They should still come down a little bit in speeds, but overall I would still expect some gusts 30 to 40. They're going to be much more localized overnight, so a lot of those valley locations like the Pecos Valley and out here on the eastern side as you head closer to the plains should lighten up considerably overnight, but a lot of the higher elevations on the western edge of the fire and in the fire footprint itself should continue to see gusty winds tonight. Humidity, I expect to begin to come up tonight a little bit, probably peaking closer to 30%, which is a marked change compared to previous days. But considering the wind direction and the wind speeds, still looking at very critical conditions out there tonight as well. Tomorrow, looking again, rinse and repeat, unfortunately. If anything, winds will be a little bit stronger even tomorrow, likely our windiest day of this 3-day wind event. So there is another red flag warning in effect for tomorrow, Monday. That will probably be our last one unless there's a significant change in the forecast. But very similar conditions with daytime humidities, again, likely getting into the single digits tomorrow. And then things thankfully starting to change a little bit. So as we head into Tuesday, we're going to be looking at much lighter winds, gusts generally staying in the 20-mile-an-hour range. So looking fairly good there. It'll still be very dry during the day, but again, we'll continue to see those overnight humidities creep up, which will help to shorten that burn period. A little bit of moisture coming in aloft as well, and that will become more pronounced as we head into Wednesday. But really the main thing we're going to be watching out for on Tuesday is a switch in wind direction. So there's going to be a backdoor cold front. When I say backdoor, that's really just a front that moves from the east to the west, which is contrary to the typical direction that a front moves in the U.S. So that will bring with it, obviously, a change in wind direction. So most of the day will be southwest, and then it looks like around midnight Tuesday night we'll see that front come in. So we are watching for that change in wind direction, not expecting winds with the front to be overly strong, likely gusts at around 20-25 miles an hour. But obviously it's important to note that change in wind direction. It will be temporary, so once that front actually moves through, we should see a gradual return, kind of clockwise rotation to those winds back to the more typical southwest or west wind regime that is more typical this time of year here in New Mexico. Come Wednesday, definitely some more moisture, much improved overnight recoveries, and also daytime humidity finally starting to come up, which is going to be a very important relief for firefighters, again, shortening that burn period during the day. Should be a little bit cooler as well, middle of the week, just a few degrees behind that front. And overall, looking at a fairly prolonged period, 3 to 4 days of much lighter winds overall. Precip chances looking fairly low, I would say, for Wednesday. Just not much moisture. Most of that instability and that moisture is going to stay to our east out over the plains. Can't completely rule out something very late in the day, but really our better chances for precipitation are going to be Thursday and Friday in the form likely of thunderstorms. So it's kind of a similar setup to what we saw maybe a week ago with a few thunderstorms that initiated over the Sangre de Cristo Mountains and then moved on east into the plains. Very similar setup. We're definitely going to be seeing an increase in instability and a modest increase in moisture. Looks, if anything, like that moisture axis and instability axis will be able to shift a little bit further west than it did with the last system. So it could see those showers and thunderstorms extend a little bit further west into New Mexico. So hopefully that will materialize. Either way, I think we'll see some very good recoveries overnight, up above 80%, if not better than that. So that's some really needed and really good news for folks here on the ground. Does look like we'll return to a little bit of a warming and drying trend come Saturday, but in the very least, we have a nice 3 to 4 day period with a good break. So that's really all I have. Just to recap, 1 or 2 more days of red flag warnings and critical fire weather conditions, very similar to what we saw yesterday. And once we get through that, much improved conditions behind Tuesday night's backdoor front.